What do you know about wooden spoons? The kitchen utensil that you use to stir a boiling pot of pasta, or to mix chocolate chips in with your favorite oatmeal cookies. Most of you have used a spoon in the last 24 hours and thought nothing of it. It's something we can easily take for granted. But the wooden spoon has an interesting origin story and a rich history. The word spoon, at its root, means shaving or chip of wood. They were the first known eating utensil, and they predate forks by thousands of years. Through the ages, as we began to evolve and cook our food, spoons helped to lay the foundations of civilizations, and they were eagerly adopted without the type of controversy that the fork would experience when it was first introduced. Through the ages, spoons have been used for many purposes, both practical and symbolic. Elaborately carved wooden spoons like this one have been found in ancient Egyptian tombs and were thought to be used for mixing cosmetic ointments. Cosmetics that not only enhanced their beauty, but protected their eyes from the sun and contained ingredients that prevented eye infections. During the Greek and Roman Empire, spoons made out of bronze and silver became the standard among wealthy, while the common folks most often used wood, because wood was readily available, and when necessary, they could carve their own. At some point, it became customary to gift apostle spoons at a baby's christening. This started a long tradition of christening spoons that was practiced through all classes in society. Of course, only the most wealthy could afford gold and silver, while the lower class would use brass. This is actually where the saying comes from, born with a silver spoon in his mouth. Spoons were of such great importance that they were among the inventory of a person immigrating, and when someone died, they would will their spoon to the next of kin. Then there were love spoons, carved by a suitor to gift to a young woman as a symbol of his romantic intentions. The spoon was also meant to show the young man's skill to the girl's father. Different symbols came to have different specific meanings, such as a heart for love, a horseshoe for luck, and a diamond for wealth. The enclosed balls in this spoon are meant to symbolize the number of children that they wish to have. Here's a photo of the love spoon that I carved for my boyfriend this past Valentine's Day. In part to honor the history, but in part to spite the history of the tradition of the men giving them to women, because I'm an independent woman. So the symbols here are a heart for love, a wave for a future full of travel and adventure, a moon to acknowledge the many cycles our relationship will go through, and a crown because he's a prince. I've carved about 150 spoons to date, and though that might not make me an expert, I'm here talking to you about them because I'm passionate. You don't have to go very deep into my Instagram account to see that 80% of my feed is photos of spoons. Photos like these ones. Well, I'm sure you're probably curious how I got started. Well, I was given a jackknife when I was just a kid, because that's what parents in the country do. They give their children sharp things and tell them to go away and play. So I started to whittle little things like wooden candles and miniature canoes, and around the same time I started scheming my entry into the craft market scene, although I didn't yet know what I would be selling. So if you fast forward to last October, I was preparing for a Christmas market. I'm now a woodworker, living the dream. The shop is a gong show, though. There's at least 4 other people in the same position as me, making stock for our biggest markets of the year. The machine use was already limited, and Murphy's Law being what it was, the power supply kept failing. I was losing my mind, and I needed to make a quick pivot, so I decided to find an unplugged solution. I had already been incorporating some carving into my serving board designs that season, and the conversations I was having around carving often turned to spoons. The truth is, a lot of people have secret fantasies about carving spoons, and they've watched enough YouTube tutorials to become armchair professionals. Usually, these people know exactly what tools they would use to hollow out the bowl. These are the tools that I use to carve. I start by drawing out my template, then I clamp it down and hollow out the bowl. Once I'm satisfied with that, I take it to the bandsaw and I rough out the shape. Then I refine the shape of the back of the bowl. Then I move to the handle. And then I sand it. Once I'm done sanding it, I soak it so I can raise the wood grain. And then I sand it one more time and I seal it. This way, when you're using it, it's not going to become furry when you wash it. Now, if there aren't any armchair spoon carvers out there yet, there will be once you see this video. It's so satisfying, isn't it? He's using a hook knife here, and although this is the stuff of fantasies, once the fun's over and you realize you need to learn how to sharpen that blade, it very quickly becomes a nightmare. I wept over my tools when I was first learning how to sharpen them. So, normally I like to go for more involved projects, but the way that these people talked with such fascination about spoons made me reevaluate it. It's so simple. It's universal. Everyone needs a wooden spoon. So I started scooping. After I finished the first few spoons, I posted photos on social media. The response I got was incredible. Same thing at the market. And by Christmas, even my most awkward spoons were under someone's tree. What a reputation wooden spoons have today. Mother's wrath and mom's home cooking. For some, they can conjure up traumatic memories from childhood. I think everyone's heard a story of an angry mother who's broken a spoon over their offspring's back end. I don't want to spend too much time on this because I love wooden spoons and I want you to as well, but I think it warrants bringing up. Wooden spoons were the disciplinary tool of the oppressed, stressed housewife. These women who never got respite from their daily household chores and the unyielding needs of their children. She used the same spoon that in a way was a symbol of her enslavement to strike fear and deliver discipline to youngsters who got on her nerves. Then there's the more fortunate folks, for whom the long-handled wooden spoon holds fond memories from childhood. Nostalgia for family meals, cooking together, and fellowship with our favorite people. The spoons in these stories are symbols of sustenance. Why are we so drawn to wooden spoons? Why do they spark our imagination? Why do we treasure them so much? It's not only the memories that we have with them, but the material that they're made with. There are plenty of machine-made spoons out there these days. But the spoons that we cherish the most are the ones that we can tell are handmade. When you can see the marks that another human's hand has left, it tells a story. It creates a connection. I think it's safe to say that most people making wooden spoons, at least in first world circumstances, are making them because of a deep drive and devotion to creating something both beautiful and useful. Passion, enthusiasm, and obsession force us to keep creating. The story of my spoons is one of sweet solitude. Carving spoons is like a meditation to me. It's a form of stress relief. It starts with a simple, shallow dip in a board that's begging to be given a purpose. When I'm hand carving wood, I can't will it to do what I want. I have to work within the limitations of my medium. We're wired to be interested in wood. An attractive, primal aesthetic is evident when we see wood grain. Wood was one of the first materials that we used as we transitioned from primitive beings to creating a culture and a society. Still today in modern home building, we use wood to frame and create structure for our houses. We bring wood into the interior because it warms the place up, and it helps to ground us by bringing something from nature back inside. If you were looking at this wooden spoon and you picked it up, only to discover it was made of plastic, would you be disappointed? It somehow cheapens the object when we're tricked into thinking it's made out of something that it's not. What things are made out of is important. How they are made is significant. And who is making them is meaningful. Thank you.